Hello, this is Joe Krutsinger with our regular update. This is the March 2nd recalibration of inputs for BarNone ES 5-minute. Making the videos a little late because I'm changing equipment. Our videos will now be posted to YouTube to make them more readily available and easier to see on multiple instruments. This is the disclaimer that applies to all of our slides. You can read this at your leisure. Of course, you can download a PDF. All you need to do is go to etrackrecords.com, look at Joe's blog, and the PDFs for all of our videos will be there. This shows that everything we're showing today is a simulation and has the limitations of all simulations. First thing to do is, of course, manage your own expectations. You have to ask yourself, how much should you expect to make with a $10,000 account? Should you make $10,000 in a year? $5,000? $2,000? Well, the actual answer is probably about 8.4%, which is $840. Now, you might ask yourself, why 8.4%? Well, the answer is, of course, as we've talked about in other videos, if you look over the last 10 years or so in the stock market, 8.4% has been the average return actually over like the last 60 years, including dividends. So if you want to beat the returns of the stock market, you should look at 8.4% as kind of your benchmark. Now, as far as how to optimize the BarNone system on your own, here's the way I do it, and I've color-coded it for you. The first four steps are BarNone, the B1, the S1, the B2, the S2. You optimize those 0 to 5 in increments of 1, and you can do them together. That's 1,296 tests, and it takes about a minute or so on your data. Once you've done that, you want to optimize the walk, when you're going to walk off the trade. And that's usually like 1 to 80 in increments of 1. And then you want to do your breakout parameters, and that's like 1 to 20 in increments of 1. So in those three tests, you'll pretty well have everything done. If you want to add a stop, then you go ahead and add your stop loss, and you can test like 100 to 350 in increments of 1250 if you're on ES for something like that. If you're doing a bigger system, you might go 0 to 1,000 in increments of 50 to see what happens if you have no stop at all and what happens if you have a great big stop. But that's your choice to do. The other thing you want to make sure is, are you going to day trade? If you're going to day trade, on your exit on close, it should say true, true, true. It always should be true. If you want to have an overnight swing system, just make it false, false, false. And don't test it. The timer exit is the time where once that time has occurred, it'll exit at the next bar. So if you want to, if you're on a 5-minute bar, you could test at 8:30 to 15:55 in increments of 5. And if it came up at 14:40, then you'd probably get out at 14:45. That would be the opening of the next bar. And that's how that works. You can also have one of my favorite stops is a percent trailing floor and a percent trailing percent. I test those 0 to 130 in increments of 10 as far as the percent trailing percent, and the floor I'll test basically whatever I do the stop. So in this case, it's 100 to 350 in increments of 1250. Now, I'll be glad to do all these for you, and I do them once a month. But if you want to learn how to do them yourself, or you want to practice with it, it's fine. Or if you want to get on the machine and send me a team viewer and we walk through it together, be glad to do that at any time. But this is the whole process of optimizing on the BarNone. Whenever optimizing, I always like to look at my favorite Tradestation Criteria. And these are in an order, but they are not necessarily the order. You can change them any way you like. But these are the things I consider to be the most important. Most are mathematical, like net profit, max drawdown, average trade size, the percent profitable, the time in the market. The arena number is fairly complex because it takes into consideration the net profit, the drawdown, and the time in the market. So it's a complex number. Profit factor is how much you make versus how much you lose is a ratio. And then the one that's not really mathematical but it's kind of arty is the equity curve analysis. I like to look at the equity curve and see, can I stand the kind of drawdowns that have happened, and is that equity curve in an upward angle at this particular time. I also use the Joe Crutch switcher to evaluate that, but I really look at that equity curve analysis as the final benchmark. Well, this is the recalibration for the E-mini 5-minute BarNone. This is a very short calibration. It's only 2 months, from January 1st through the March 1st, and it's showing making $2,800 in that period of time. 76% of the trades are right, making about 12 trades a month. Average trade's 112.50. The RENA is 21.12. The drawdown's 502, so the drawdown goes into net profit 5.59 times. And the annual rate of return is a high 285.32. Now, rate of return you can change by the amount of money you put in as needed for the account. I always put in like $5,000 for the day trading accounts, and when it says account size required is 502, that's really not true. That's the account size required for the drawdown, which is 502. You also would obviously need to have your margin. So the margin on a day trade like the ES is less than a couple $1,000. So easily you can handle with $3,000 or $4,000. You can handle this in normal cases. Now here's the equity curve analysis, and you can see it's about a 45-degree line. Then it had a period of drawdown for 3 trades, and then resumed about a 55 to 60-degree line. And the more important line, of course, is the one that's in current market. So that, to me, is a fairly good equity curve. Then you can look over to the right and look at the inputs. And I like to see a small stop. I like to see a trailing floor and a trailing percent, which this has. It has a timeout by about 1 o'clock, and that's kind of cool. Also, the BarNone readings are basically, it's going to do a primary buy on a Monday, and a primary sale on a Thursday, and a against the trend buy on a Wednesday. And those so 3 days a week in effect it'll probably be looking for trades, and the rest of the time it'll be on the sideline. That's why it has such a small percent time in the market. Now we're going to go away from hypothetical to real time. This is a real-time disclaimer for BarNone on the E-mini S&P. I'm trading it in IRA account myself, making sure everything works okay and everything. And so these results are with the real slippage and real commission and what's happened. Now with my real account, what I do is every time I recalibrate for clients, as soon as I've posted that recalibration, I change my settings to those same settings. So this is basically a continuation from July the 17th of 2016 through March 1st of 2017, with slippage and commission accounted for. Now the performance over this period has been kind of flat to nothing. There's been 34 trades and it's lost $606. That's about a little less than 18 bucks a trade. That's after commission and slip. And that happened when we had the election turmoil, and we had some of the flatness and problems with the market. I see nothing wrong with it at all. It's basically just drawdown time, and I'll of course continue to trade this. I always have a cutoff. If I ever lose $2,500 on a particular system, I'll have a cutoff, or if I've traded it for a year, I'll switch to another system just to have a variety of systems. But this is what it is, and that's where it is. This is a reposting of a checklist. This is what I suggest you do at 8:15 in the morning before the market opens with your day trading markets, at least. If you haven't restarted your computer in a while, go ahead and restart it. Open your Tradestation, of course. Open only the real-time desktop you're going to use. Then pick the workspace you're going to automate and close the other workspaces so you don't take up resources of the computer. You want to pick the quantity and automate the appropriate strategies with confirmation off. You'll want to look at your tracker. If you're day trading the indexes, it should say flat, flat, true. Then you want to save all the workspaces and save all the desktops, and do not run anything else on this machine while it's trading real time. That's very important, because Tradestation needs those communication ports, and with Windows, any item, any program you put up on top takes the resources of the machine. So you want to use Tradestation as your robot. Now as the trade day ends, this is 1 minute after 3 Central Time, or a little later if you have to, but you want to look at your trader and see if day trading indexes say flat, flat, true. If it does not, manually get flat. If you're long, you want to sell. If you're short, you got to buy to cover. Turn off your automation. save the workspaces, save the desktops, shut the machine entirely off, and when in doubt, just get out, and you can call me directly anytime at 913-334-2202. I can use TeamViewer, get on your machine, and see what's happened. If your data was down, if your internet was down, you might have missed a trade. Tradestation might have been down, their server, whatever. But we'll get you so that you're flat and that you're ready for trading for the next day. My main product is ideas, service, and support when you need it. All you need to do is go to etrackrecords.com, pull down the support tab, send me TeamViewer codes, and I can get on your machine anytime and fix anything, install anything, explain anything. I'm basically your live manual when you need it. So don't feel bad about calling me. This is what I do, and I love to visit with you. Well, your next step would be call me directly at 913-334-2202. I have the phone on 24/7. Obviously, in the middle of the night, I'd just soon you email me, which is joecrut@gmail.com. And, of course, our website is etrackrecords.com. I offer a free 14-day trial of any of my strategies. Well, I'll be glad to put them on your machine, make sure they're perfect, let you run them for 2 full weeks, and make sure it's for you before you put any money at work. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you need any help at all, feel free to call me. Thanks for watching.